It wasn't me. I swear. No way. Not a shot. Do you even hear yourself when you say that? There's no way I would take water balloons and throw them at incoming traffic. There's no way I would throw water balloons at a moving car. You can't even tell that this is me. All right, I'll come clean. It was my junior year. It was a Friday night, and man, I just made varsity basketball, and so I'm hanging out with some of the seniors on the team, and I just wanted them to like me. I just wanted them to think I was cool, I guess. The football game ended, and we were all bored. Small town, not a lot to do, and one of the seniors, Ryan, he said, let's go water ballooning. I didn't know what that meant, water ballooning. I asked him, Ryan, what do you mean water ballooning? And so he said, Taylor, it's when you throw water balloons at moving cars. And I knew it was wrong. I knew I shouldn't have done it. But I did it anyways, and so we found a busy street with cars and had a cooler of water balloons. And the rest is history. We threw water balloons at cars, and I know I shouldn't have done it, but I just really wanted them to like me. Come on, man, can't you understand what I was going through? You have to be able to relate with me.
Interrogations, they can be intimidating. All the focus is directed on you. Someone is trying to pry information out of you. You're asked tough questions that you may or may not want to answer. They're intimidating, but sometimes they're necessary because it gets us closer to discovering what's true about ourselves. Well, we're gonna start a series called Fake ID. And I want to interrogate our identity. I want us to question who we are and what makes you, you. Who you believe you are will literally shape and mold how you live your life. I believe we all struggle with fake identities that distract us from who God calls us to be and our real identity in God. And I think it's time to get to the bottom of this problem. Now, if I were to guess, we can relate to a moment like my water balloon story. Well, you can relate to a moment where you did something because you just wanted someone to like you. And if you're anything like me, you are gonna do whatever it takes in that moment. You are gonna change whatever in that moment so that that person likes you. I was willing to do whatever it took for Ryan to like me in that moment. This might be one of the most popular fake identities that we struggle with, the approval identity. Here's what it means to struggle with this identity. Your whole identity is wrapped up in this one thought. Who I am depends on what others think of me. Your whole identity and how you see yourself completely depends on if someone likes you or not. It depends on if you are gonna gain the approval of someone or not. And there's tons of evidence that would prove that this is something that you struggle with. Let me give you some evidence that might pop up in your life that would indicate that you are struggling with this fake identity. Here's the first one. You're image obsessed. You are constantly processing the image you are putting out to the public, and you're running it through this filter of, will people like what they see, or will they reject what they see? I see this happening all the time on your campuses. When I come and hang out, I will see you with your phone sprint up to someone and yell in their face, "Hey, you want to take a 0.5 with me?" It's kind of an awkward request, but nonetheless, you ask it, you take the 0.5, and then you run away. You go about 8 feet later, and then you look at the picture, and you're not really looking at the whole picture, but you're really only looking at one person in the picture, and you're looking at yourself. You're not really looking at the other person, and you're trying to determine whether what you see is good. You look at your hair, you look at your fit, you look at like how you're standing, you look at the angle, you're like, oh, does my jawline look good? And you're determining if this image is good to put onto the public. And more times than not, the answer is, we gotta try again. And so you delete it. And you'll do that over and over and over again until you have the perfect image to post. We're image obsessed. Here's the second piece of evidence that might pop up in your life. Shifting personalities. Who you are around one group of people will be different than other groups. You are constantly changing who you are in hopes that all these different groups will like different versions of who you are. Let me talk to some of you dudes for a second. You are constantly trying to put on this hopeless, romantic Ryan Gosling vibe to your girlfriend. You're like, "What up, boo? I love you. I got you flowers, and I got you a pumpkin spice latte. Let me get the door for you. Girl, Taylor and Travis, they got nothing on us." But then you go home and you go on your phone, and there's this weird subculture within TikTok where people are just trolls, and it's like accepted and approved to troll on people you don't know in the comment section. And so you just try to fit in and you try to do that, and you go to the comment section and you're just lighting people up. You're just dunking on people in the comment section. But then later that day, you go to football practice and you try to act all buttoned up. You try to act like this outstanding captain in front of your coaches and your teammates. You're just constantly shifting and changing who you are in hopes that all these different groups of people will like you. Here's the third piece of evidence that would pop up in your life that would indicate you struggle with the approval identity. Flimsy values. You are willing to mimic the value system of someone that you just want them to like you. You want them to approve of you. Let me put it this way. You are willing to be a chameleon. You're willing just to copy the value system of someone else so they like you. Sure, on paper, you have values. I don't cheat, I don't steal, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't sleep around. But the moment we're across from someone that we just want them to like us, we want their approval, we will compromise our values and copy their value system or lack of value system just so they'll like us. You know you're not supposed to go to that house, go to that party and partake in some of the activities that this group of people you want to like you, but you're just so desperate for them to approve of you. And so you just take on their value system. If I were to get to the core of this fake ID and why we struggle with it, I think it's because everyone has this deep desire to be loved. I believe God created us this way. God created us to be in relationship with Him and to live in His love. However, if we aren't careful, we don't look to God for that approval. We look to people. We miss it, and we end up living a life where we're constantly looking to people for approval and not God. And here's what's at stake. If we don't fight this fake ID, we will lose sight of who God has called us to be and what He's called us to do. In the book of Galatians, Paul is writing to this church in Galatia. And what Paul is doing is he's trying to warn them about these false teachers teaching them that their faith in Jesus wasn't enough to be accepted by God. He's urging these new Christians that they are accepted by grace and grace alone, and is telling these churches in Galatia that if they try to seek the approval of these false teachers, they will end up leading them away from who God has called them to be. Paul opens up this letter in chapter 1 and uses himself as an example of what would happen if they were to live a life of trying to earn the approval of these false teachers and not God. He says this, "For am I now seeking the approval of man or of God? Or am I trying to please man? If I were still trying to please man, I would not be a servant of Christ." Paul is pleading with these new Christians, is trying to show them that if they are trying to continually seek the approval of these false teachers, of people, and not God, they will lose sight of who God has called them to be and what he has called them to do. They will lose sight of the fact that God has called them to be a servant of Christ and to use their life to bring Jesus and hope to other people. I believe if Paul could write our church a letter, could write CCV students a letter, he would say the exact same thing. He would say, if you continually try to seek the approval of people, you are going to miss out on living a life where you are a Christ-centered difference maker. When you continually seek the approval of people, you will lose sight on making a difference in your life. So the question is, how do you and I fight this fake ID? Today in your small groups, I want you to discuss how you can fight this fake ID. How can you live a life where you are focused completely on God's approval and not people's approval?